The night beckons. I must hunt soon. You thought of that? Very well. What, mortal? Greetings. You thought of that? What is it now? That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. Very well. I must hunt soon. You thought of that? Very well. Die. That was my plan. Agreed. What is it now? You thought of that? Greetings. Very well. You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. I must hunt soon. Death rages. Very well. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan. Your soul is mine. You thought of that? Death rages. Very well. That was my plan. What, mortal? You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. I must hunt soon. What is it now? That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that?
Hello there.
Greetings. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. I must hunt soon. What, mortal? That was my plan.
We're under attack!
Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. I hunger. Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Die. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that?
Welcome to our village.
What is it now? I hunger. Greetings. What is it now? Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that?
We're under attack!
Greetings. That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that? What, mortal? Death rages. Agreed. That was my plan. I must hunt soon. Die. Very well. Greetings. I hunger.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Very well. What, mortal? Die. You thought of that? I hunger. That was my plan. You thought of that? Die. Death rages. Agreed. I hunger. Death rages. Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that? What is... What, mortal? That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? What is it now? Agreed. Very well. That was my plan. Greetings. Very well. What, mortal? Agreed. I hunger. You thought of that? Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. Very well. Greetings. What, mortal? That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. Greetings. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. I must hunt soon.
We're under attack! Hello there!
Greetings. That was my plan. What is it now? I must hunt soon. Agreed. What is it now? You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. What, mortal? Very well. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Very well. What is it now?
Our allies' hero has been slain!
That was my plan. Greetings. You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. What is it now? Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. Death rages. You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. What, mortal? Greetings. Agreed. Very well. You thought of that? What, mortal? Your soul is mine. Very well.
Our allied hero has been slain.
You thought of that? Agreed. Very
Our
well.
allied town is being
I
attacked.
hunger.
We're under attack.
Soon. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well.
Our allied town
Agreed.
is being attacked.
What is it now? What, mortal? Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. What is it now? I must hunt soon. That was my plan. I hunger. Death rages. You thought of that? I hunger. That was my plan.
We're under attack.
Greetings. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well. What is it now?
Our town is being
That
attacked.
was my plan. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. What, mortal? Agreed. You thought of that? Death rages.
We're under attack.
I hunger. You thought of that? What is it now? Agreed. What, mortal? That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. What is it now? You thought of that? Death rages. Agreed. That was my plan.
Welcome to our village.
Our allied town is being attacked.
What is it? Agreed. I hunger. Death rages. One mortal. That was my plan. Greetings. You thought of that? I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Greetings. That was my plan.
We need more gold.
You thought of that? Agreed.
Our allied town
That
is
was
being
my
attacked.
plan. Very well. I must hunt soon. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. What, mortal? I hunger. That was my plan. What is it now? Very well. You thought of that? What, mortal? Agreed. You thought of that?
We're under attack!
That was my plan. Soon. Agreed. That was my plan.
Hello there.
We need more gold.
Agreed. Very well. Agreed.
Welcome to our village.
Greetings.
We're under attack!
That was my plan. Die. I hunger. You thought of
Our
that?
allied town is being attacked!
Plan. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. Die. What mortal? I hunger. You thought of that? I must hunt soon. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. What, mortal? What is it now? Greetings. That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed.
Our hero has been slain! Our allied town is being attacked! Our allied town is being attacked!
Light beckons. Very well. I must hunt soon. Greetings. That was my plan.
Our allies' hero has been slain!
Very well. You thought of that? Die. That was my plan. What, mortal? Very well. Your soul is mine. Death rages. Thought of that?
Our allied town is being attacked!
What is it now? That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. I must hunt soon.
Our allied town is being attacked!
That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? What is it now? Agreed. That was my plan. What, mortal? Very well. Greeting.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Thought of that? Agreed.
Our town is
my
under
plan.
attack!
Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. Death rages.
Our allied town is being attacked!
What, mortal? You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed.
Our allied town is being attacked! Our allied hero has been slain!
You thought of that? That was my plan. Greetings. Very well. We must hunt soon. Agreed. What, mortal? You thought of that? I hunger.
We're under attack!
Soon. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Death rages. You thought of that? That was my plan.
We're under attack!
What, mortal? Die. I hunger. You thought of that? Very well. Die. You thought of that? Your soul is mine. That was my plan. Very well. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Death rages. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. What, mortal? That was my plan. Agreed. Die. Very well. Agreed. I must hunt soon. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? What is it now? Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well.
Our town is under
You thought
attack!
of that? That was my plan. I must hunt soon. Very well. You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. What is it now? I hunger. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. Death rages. That was my plan. I hunger. Greetings. Die. Very well. That was my plan. Very well. What, mortal?
Research complete.
That was my plan.
We need more
What is it
gold.
now? Hunger. I must hunt soon. Agreed. I hunger. Agreed. You thought of that? What, mortal? Death rages.
We
Greetings,
need
friend.
more gold.
What is it now? I hunger.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Very well. Die. That was my plan. You thought of that? I hunger. That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. Die. You thought of that? I hunger. That was my plan. Death rages. Very well. Agreed. Your soul is mine. I hunger. Die. That was my plan.